We absolutely should not be concerned with vitamin or mineral overdose from consuming fruits and vegetables. Hey, everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. I thought I would chat with you guys and gals a little bit about this today. And what prompted me to do this, I literally had someone in my Facebook chiming in and arguing with me. And again, it's an argument of ignorance because they didn't understand what the RDA is. And they argued for a while like they were going to die on this hill. And they were an auto mechanic, apparently. But, they saw me promoting eating potatoes and sweet potatoes and said, oh, man, you need to really limit those sweet potatoes because I'm looking and the vitamin A intake is for whatever, like one potato is 561%. And, that could be dangerous. And I tried to explain to them that, look, only a quack would promote this. And they tried to argue and like wanted to die on that hill. But I've seen people make these cases before, and they'll say things like, "Oh, well, too many vitamins can be bad for you." Yeah, in supplemental form, absolutely, and in some cases, in certain foods, you can absolutely technically reach vitamin overdose, like animal form vitamin A, but it's usually like from excessive cod liver oil. And again, that's an extracted supplement. No one is standing around eating 8 pounds of cod every day. And if they are, there might be other big concerns, beyond the vitamin A intake, right? Or maybe people are eating excessive amounts of liver, particularly from a carnivore. Like if you're eating, 2 pounds of lion liver every day, yeah, you absolutely can reach a toxicity of vitamin A. Of course you can. And these things do happen, but they're not practical, and sane people aren't doing this. But what ends up happening, you see, because of some of this weird anti-vegetable rhetoric, you will see people who do jump into some of these discussions, right? And they're not understanding that when you actually look at what the best doctors, the best registered dietitians, the best researchers are saying, they'll tell you that unless you have a specific medical condition, okay, in which these are a concern, then there can be cases like, a woman who's type 2 diabetic and pregnant. Yeah, there can be certain things that they need to watch for, even in fruits and vegetables. And they may need to limit certain things under the care of a dietitian. But we're talking in general under normal circumstances. All of the best experts are telling you do not need to be concerned with fruits and vegetables in terms of vitamin or mineral overdose. Okay, it is simply not going to happen. There are not negative health effects. Now, that being said, then people jump up and say, well, what about if I supplement large amounts then? Well, again, we're getting back over into a different discussion. And we need to be clear that there is an enormous difference between a single free-form vitamin that has been extracted and the absorption rates of it versus when it's in these whole foods. And generally speaking, when we look at things like vegetable intake and its impact on all-cause mortality, there's no upper threshold. And in other words, and I'm not saying it's a massive difference. So I'm not telling you that doubling your vegetable intake is going to, cut your cancer rates 50% or something insane. But what we generally see is that increased vegetable intake, and even fruit intake to a lesser extent, but definitely vegetable intake, and it doesn't matter if we're talking about broccoli or potatoes or whatever here, is generally correlated with reduced rates of all-cause mortality. In other words, every bracket you go up, all the way into the people who eat pounds of them every day, there is a slight reduction in each category. Like if a person consumes whatever, 100 grams, 500 grams, a kilogram, 2 kilograms, so on. You go to these different brackets of things like just general vegetable intake. What do you see? There's a slight reduction in each category on average in things like cancer, cardiovascular disease, and diabetes. Okay, the 3 leading killers. So we need to be clear on this. And what people forget with some of these antioxidants, a lot of the antioxidants and phytonutrients, we're not finding upper thresholds on this. And again, I am not talking about supplementing, say, vitamin C in massive amounts. We're talking about these whole foods which have a matrix, and people forget that broccoli, for example, or a sweet potato, it's not just one antioxidant. You're not mega loading just a single thing. There are other phytonutrients that are not listed as vitamins. There's a variety of antioxidants. There are dozens, if not hundreds of them, different ones found in plants that we don't have a minimum need of. They're just general antioxidants that work through different pathways that we may not need a specific one, like vitamin C, vitamin A, vitamin E, we have a specific need for, okay? Like we have minimums that our body needs for health that also happen to be antioxidants. But when we start looking at the overall antioxidant status, there are tons of them that we don't necessarily need that specific one. We probably have a need for general antioxidants for basic health. And they can be fulfilled by a variety of different ones. And a lot of them have different synergies between them. Okay? So they tend to help complement each other. So that's why it's a difference between, let's just mega load a single one in powder form versus getting extremely large amounts of 37 different ones because you're eating a lot of fruits and vegetables. Okay? There is an enormous difference. And it's not because, well, it's natural. It's not what the argument is. The argument is it's in a complete matrix of food. And, again, in our environment, we have adapted to benefiting from these things, right? And historically, we have always had a need for large amounts of a variety of plants. Like historically, humans have always eaten like around an 80% plant diet. Our species has about 20%, animal stuff found out in the wild. And I'm not saying that that's always what we should follow, but we have an enormous need for it. We don't produce these things on our own. So we have to have them in our diet. And historically, they've always just been present enough that our body has not had to try to learn to make our own. Okay, we can then focus on other things. Okay, just like our bodies make things that plants don't make. So in this case, though, the prevailing evidence is that there's no upper threshold of safety. So when people are arguing about these things, they're ignoring science, they're ignoring what the best experts are saying, and they're oftentimes either misunderstanding or following a fad, or they could even be confusing the idea that people can overdose on different vitamin and mineral supplements, so it must be a real concern with fruits and vegetables. And generally, the leading doctors and experts have said that we're not finding cases of this actually happening. It's not a real phenomenon. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.